If you guys are just starting off buying doubles, or if you're looking to scale, this channel is perfect for you because that's all I talk about. So if you guys do get value out of this, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Helps me out, helps push my content to other people so I can help more individuals. Also, scan the QR code below if you guys want to hop on a call with me. We can talk about just starting off buying doubles, or if you're scaling your portfolio, trying to go to 10, 20 unit properties. I'm doing that currently, so I can tell you firsthand on what to do, what not to do, and what you're going to need when you're going to make that jump. So scan the QR code, the link's in the description. Make free to book a call. We can talk through and get you on the right path. So one thing I want to address today is this fallacy of go big or go home. I know Grant Cardone preaches this, and I'll probably be bashing him a lot in this video, just because it doesn't make sense. I mean, for someone to come out and say you need to buy a 10, 20, 30 unit apartment building just when you're starting out, and if you just have to make it happen, meaning you have to get co-signers, partners involved, the complexity of these transactions are enormous. So I don't think I understood how big they are until I actually am in one trying to close on a 20 unit. But the regulations from the banks, the personal guarantees you have to put up, the financial guarantees that, from the property, from your own personal finances, are just a lot more than I ever thought they would be. And for someone that's just starting out with no experience in managing property, you're gonna have a impossible time to impossible time with the lender to get approved. And then if you bring on a cosigner or even a partner, the lender is going to look at that part. Okay, so say the partner has operational experience. The lender is going to put all the emphasis on the partner and all the guarantees and the personal liability on the partner as well. So basically, you have no skin in the game except for some capital, but your partner has capital and all his financial backing or assets in the game as well. So if your partner is willing to take on that much risk, great. I would highly recommend, and he has operational experience, highly recommend going for a 10, 20 unit purchase first, off the bat. That would be fantastic. But then you need to figure out how you're going to operate that if you are going to be a property manager, or figuring out how to lease those up, or when a roof needs to be repaired, or everything else needs to be fixed, because it's all going to happen at once. It seems like you need to figure out how to delegate that and how to efficiently go through and operate that property, so you're not going to default and then have the lender take back the property and go for your partner's financials and assets. Point two that I want to emphasize is that the doubles, if you go ahead and purchase that first, or even up to a 4 unit or even a 5 unit, I'm talking like big properties, 10 to 100 units. Let's put that as like big properties. Anything else, you could definitely bite off as a single individual starting out. But again, when you go from 4 to 10, that's commercial. So you need to have your numbers down, you need to have your lending down, your financials. Even if you're making $100K a year and you're 25, 26 years old, they're still going to want, and you're buying like a $1.2 to $1.5 million property, the bank's still going to want to have your personal guarantee and most likely cosigner. And I'll get to what the lender has put on us as, for us and the cosigners. I mentioned this in the beginning of the video, but it is not constrained to the LLC that the property is going into. It's everything personal about us that the lender can come after. So when you buy a double, of course, you have less of a headache with regards to tenants. You're only dealing with 2 of them. Smaller property, meaning less mechanical issues that could go wrong. Only 2 furnaces, 2 AC condensers outside, 2 hot water tanks, whatever it might be. It's manageable. Okay, so when you start getting into these complex transactions with 20, 30 units and managing that, 4 or 5 hot water tanks can go out in a month, and what are you going to do? You're going to have capital reserves. If you put all your capital for the down payment, well, where's that going to come from? You're going to go ask your partner for some more money, or is he going to pay for that? So you need to make sure that you understand the full aspect of what you're getting into, and not just listen to Grant Cardone and go for a 20, 30 unit property right off the bat, because you could get screwed, and that's going to hurt you long term if you do default or have any type of financial hiccup. It's going to set you back tremendously. And if you're so young, you have a lot of time to build up steam. So why don't start off a little bit slower? It does suck. I'm very frustrated where I am right now, but it's the right way to go. And like I said before, sometimes the shortcut is the longest way to your goals. Next is the commercial loan reality. So when you're lending on 5+ units, you're in a totally different ballpark. You're in the commercial lending ballpark. And there's a lot of differences between residential and commercial. Just to name a few, so you have a shorter term. The commercial loans are based to a 5 to 7 year term. So that means after 5 to 7 years, you're gonna have to either refinance, sell the property, or you default and the bank takes it back. Hopefully it's not the latter, but you never know what you could get yourself into. And they're based off of either a 20, 25, or 30-year amortization. So right now for the 20 unit, we're doing a 30-year and a 5-year term. So that seemed to be it worked out the best, and with a higher interest rate, which I'll get to in a second. But that's kind of what you're looking at. So 5 to 7 years, 25, 30-year amortization, higher interest rates. So commercial lending, you are taking on, or their lender is taking on a little bit more risk just because of this size of the loan and most likely the scope of the property too, or the renovation scope. So they're going to have a higher interest rate. So when you're looking at, maybe you get sent a mortgage rate update from your residential, loan broker or whoever it might be, do not apply that in your underwriting to commercial loans, because that is going to be a totally different. I mean, I would say you're probably looking at maybe a 50 to 75 basis point spread at a minimum from the residential to commercial side. But just keep that in mind. Second, stricter qualifications. So the lender is going to look at, and I could be wrong, I have experience with DSCR lenders and loans. And some people are like, oh, you don't need your personal financial backing when you're doing a DSCR loan. Yes, you do. I mean, they still look at that. They might not just put a massive emphasis on it. And most likely they'll still have you personally guarantee that loan. That's what I've experienced. If there's someone out there that has a DSCR lender, even for 50 to 100 basis points more on the interest rate than what the average is, or like maybe what the top average is, like I would definitely reach out to that lender, me personally. So I'm saying if you have that lender, drop them in the comments or let's get connected, because right now the bank that we're going with is using is lending on a DSCR ratio, so that 1.2, 1.25. But he's also looking at all of our personal financial statements, looking at the co-signer's personal financial statements, and I'll get into what that means with the guarantee. So very strict qualifications. Maybe that's because we're very inexperienced, meaning we only have 2 years versus 10, 15 years and a massive balance sheet to provide to the lender. But that's just my experience. Again, or next would be the loan to value. So usually if you're going to buy a 1 to 4 unit, you go FHA, you go 3.5% up to, your 20% conventional, or you go, conventional and look at 20%. But with commercial lenders, you're looking at a minimum of 20 up to 35%. So you want to make sure that you're going to, have enough capital to put down. So if you're buying a $1.5 million building, you're talking anywhere from $375,000 to $525,000 in just in your down payment. Then you add closing costs to that. Then you add renovations. So is that coming from you, or is that coming from your 4 partners that you need to bring on to put up that much capital? Again, how is that feasible if you're just starting off? If your family comes from a lot of money, you've got a rich uncle, you can sign as a co-signer, he has operational experience, go for it. I'm talking to the person that doesn't have that, because it is frustrating when I listen to Grant Cardone say, oh, you got to buy a 10, 20, 30 unit first. It just doesn't make sense. So next would be the co-signer reality. And that's one thing that I'm going to emphasize in this video, is because I didn't know exactly how much guarantee that co-signer was going to have to put up, and also us, and also our guarantee too. It's pretty much unlimited. So they can go into all of our personal assets if we do default on this. So I'm going to read you exactly what it says in our term sheet with our current lender. So the guarantor unconditionally guarantees to the lender the full and prompt payment of the loan and all obligations of borrower under the loan documents. This guarantee is unlimited, unconditional, and joint and several. So let me translate that from that lawyer speak to something you can understand. So the unlimited means there's no cap on what the lender can come after. If the loan's 1.5 million and the property tanks in value, the purchaser, they can pursue every guarantor to the full 1.5 million, not just your share, but the full amount. And that's your savings from your car, from your house. There's no ceiling on that. Unconditional means they don't have to collect from the property first. They can skip the building entirely and go straight for your personal assets. So that's mine, my brother's, and the family member. Joint and several, this is one that changes everything when you have co-signers. lenders can go after one of the guarantors for the full amount. So that means all three of you are on the hook. And if one person has nothing, they can go to the next one and collect 100% of the debt. And it doesn't matter who has more equity or who signed first. So that's very important too, because I'm just thinking, like, if I brought on 3 partners or 4 partners to do this deal and had no experience, I don't have that much assets if I was just starting off, like exclude what I have with the business and the our portfolio. But what are they going to come after? I don't have much. I have a car, a truck, and a few bank accounts, a brokerage account. But like a co-signer, a rich uncle, or my 5 partners, they're going to come out after all of that too. And if I have that rich uncle, they're going to come after him first for everything. So just something crazy to think about if you ever get to default. And it's something you should think about as well, because it's just in case. So you want to make sure that you have all the angles covered. But hopefully you don't get to that ever. But just something crazy that I wanted to pull out and emphasize. And then also the personal guarantees. This one kind of cuts the deepest too, because you formed the LLC, usually to limit your personal liability, but the personal guarantee pierces that entirely. So the whole point basically of an LLC disappears, and this doesn't go away until we pay off the whole entire loan or refinance out or sell the property. This is completely standard for commercial properties, and lenders require this all the time. It's just I kind of was surprised on how deep that this personal guarantee goes. So wanted to point that out. Next thing is the operational reality. So you're going to figure out, once you own doubles and maybe your next purchase is a 4-plex or a 6-plex, you're going to figure out the standard on how you operate, how fast you fix things, how quickly you get to tenants, their concerns, how fast you can lease something up. You get into this pattern of how a property is going to be managed. And that's something that you don't want to just get thrown into, because then you're going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to replace you're going to renovate things poorly, replace mechanicals that maybe don't need to be replaced, or replace them with the wrong size furnace, or hot water tank, whatever it might be. And then at the end, you just get more complaints. So once you get into that flow of managing your 6 to 8 units, then it's going to be extremely easy to get into that 10, 20 unit property. Of course, there's going to be roadblocks and headwinds, but to jump right into a 20 unit property, if you have no operational experience, is crazy. That is, unless you have prior experience or have a partner that does have prior experience managing, you're going to get screwed, or maybe the property manager is going to screw you because you put your trust in the property manager and say, oh, you know what, I don't need to do anything. He's got it all covered. And the next thing you know, you're negative cash flow, and you're writing checks to your property management company because they're doing all these repairs and you don't know exactly where the money's going. So very important to get that flow of operational strategy going, and then applying that to your 20, 30 unit apartment buildings. All right, so we're back in front of the whiteboard. For you guys who are not entirely grasping this idea of the right path, and not buying a 20 unit first or 30 unit, but buying a 2 to 4 unit property, these are the steps that I would take in order to get to that 20 unit property. So starting off with a 2 to 4 unit property, you could start off with a 4 unit property. That'd be great. But double, you're not really settling. You're actually building yourself up for a consistency and good growth throughout this process and investing experience when you're going for those 2 to 4 unit properties. I think the less partners you can have in the beginning, the more clear it's going to be for you on how to operate the property and understand the financials, and how to manage the tenants and the leases coming up, the turnover, all of that good stuff. So starting off with 2 to 4 unit property, highly emphasize that. You then build your operator identity. So basically how fast you respond to tenants, how fast you lease up, I guess like the LTV of the tenant is, the lifetime value. So for how long they stay, you can calculate it from there. But that's where you would build your operator identity in step 2, maybe 1 to 2 years after you buy your first property. Hopefully it's 1 year after your first property. Just be involved with it. If the tenants see you going to the property, doing the renovations on the outside and the inside, making it look good, being proactive, like that's going to be a great way to build your identity and a good relationship with your tenants. And also they're going to respect the property more too, because they see you respecting it versus someone that never comes by. Step 3, you can add your second property. Maybe this is 16, 18 months down the road from your first property for those that don't have the or are just building that operator experience. So add a second property, double this purchase, meaning if you're buying a double or 2 unit first, buy a 4 unit. If you're buying a 4 unit, buy an 8 unit. This way you can keep pushing the limits of your skills and experience and get ready for that big deal. Next is that commercial deal. So, I mean, anything that's greater than 5 units is considered commercial. When you say commercial, I would say, me personally, I would look at 20 units plus. This is 24, 36 months down the road from your first purchase, and you'll be fully prepared either for partners or what the lender is going to require. You'll have relationships set up for contractors and maybe even a personal guarantor, because they'll see that you've operated these properties and you're not going to default on this bigger, more risky asset. All right, so let me leave you with this. So we're closing on this 20-unit property in Buffalo, New York. I'm 23, my brother's 25. We have 2 years of experience managing other people's property and building our own portfolio through hands-on renovations and operations. I know what the full scope of the guarantee is for the commercial loan. We've narrowed down the lender after switching lenders halfway through because of a reserve requirement that lenders slapped on us, which I'll explain fully because it's a crazy switch that we had to do. I'll explain fully in another video. We already have the capital set up from a refinance, so we're ready to close on this. So if I saw this 20-unit on year one, and if someone had shown me this building when I had zero experience, zero systems, zero relationships, I probably would have tried to buy it because that's what Grant Cardone was telling me, because I was hungry and I thought these big deals were meant for me, but it most likely would have ended me. Not because the deal is bad, but because I wasn't ready as an operator, nor was my brother, and the capital we had was not even close to where it needed to be to close on this deal. So we had to bring on more partners, which gets even messier in my opinion. So I just want to point out that the deals are still going to be there. Even if you see a great deal now and you still have to buy a duplex instead of that 20-unit, buy the duplex. Another 20-unit, trust me, is going to come along. You're going to find another great deal, and you will be even more prepared for it. So don't get caught up in these gurus telling you have to go big or don't even start, but trust the process. And if you guys have any questions on your process, there's a link in the description. Book a call with me. We'll go through. I'll explain everything that I went through and give you as much information as possible so you're fully informed on what to do and how to start, or if you already started, on how to scale. So click the link in the description. I will drop that QR code again right here. And if you guys got value out of this video, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you soon.